Straight ahead in the RebZone, no game for UNLV, but plenty to talk about. Head coach Tony Sanchez is in studio to talk about how the team spent the extra practices, and we look ahead to this Saturday's game in Wyoming. Plus, we take you inside the Rebel weight room.
Oscillate. 1, 2, 3, 4. There you go. All right, everyone see that right there? That's what we're doing.
It's a place that's about much more than pumping iron, and you're getting an inside peek. And we go one-on-one with Mountain West Commissioner Craig Thompson to talk football, TV deals, and bowl games. Bye week? The RebZone doesn't take a bye week. We've got 30 minutes of UNLV football coming your way right now.
This is the Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show, sponsored by R.C. Willey and Levitt Law Firm.
Welcome inside the RebZone. Kevin Bollinger alongside UNLV head football coach Tony Sanchez. The Rebels with a bye this week. So, Coach, how did you approach practices here during this bye week with the players?
You know, we used it, as a week to get extra prepared for Wyoming. So we shortened them a little bit. We kept the same structure, the same system we normally do. We just kind of cut some of the times out. We were down to 90 minutes on our Tuesday practice. Wednesday practice kept it at 90, but we still did our walkthrough, and it was good. I thought we got a lot of good work in.
You also had a chance for the coaching staff to spread across the country and do some recruiting. I know you can't talk about specific recruits, but the chance to kind of fan out is important this time of year.
Yeah, absolutely. I went into the Bay Area, then went to LA, got to watch some games, watch some practices. All of our coaches did. We had coaches in multiple states, and it was really, really good and beneficial, especially the kids you already have committed, just getting out there and just kind of watching them and letting them know you're fired up about them.
When you have an early bye week, and there's a lot of teams that don't have the luxury of sending coaches out, you kind of get maybe a little more one-on-one time without guys being overloaded with coaches. Is that beneficial?
Absolutely it is. And I like the deal having 2 bye weeks this year. You're getting out early and seeing some guys, then you get a chance to regroup and get some more games on film for these high school, especially these seniors, and then hit the road again. So it was good.
In terms of getting some extra rest for the guys going into this week, guys that had marginal injuries for your team, going to be back at full strength, you hoping?
Yeah, Gio Fallow, who was kind of banged up in the last game, he had the full week to kind of rest it up, did some individual, that was about it. Courtney Reese got back on the field and did some things. Darren Williams he's got a little bit of a nagging hamstring, so we rested some guys up, so it'll be good.
It all gears up for this Saturday's game, the UNLV Rebels going for the Mountain West schedule opener with a trip to Laramie to take on Wyoming. The Rebels travel to Laramie, one of the toughest trips in the conference, to play at altitude Saturday in Wyoming. The UNLV drew a weather break by this game being in September. The Cowboys are a run-first offense, but that was dealt a huge blow on Saturday at Tulsa when leading rusher Trey Smith was injured and helped off the field. That'll put a lot of pressure on quarterback Sean Chambers, a redshirt freshman who is not seen as an adept passer that can do a lot of damage with his feet, including this touchdown run this week. Wyoming has also gotten off to slow starts. That touchdown by Chambers was their first in the first quarter this season. Defensively is where this team has made its mark, shutting down opposing teams' offenses. But the Cowboys lost a ton of players to graduation and injuries, leaving a lot of players untested. They still have an anchor in linebacker Logan Wilson, a 4-year starter who says a top concern is containing an RPO quarterback like Armani Rogers.
Those are always tough. You always got to worry about whether or not what he's going to throw, because they can always scramble with their feet. So that just comes down to making sure we got guys that are, when we rush, they're in their positions, they're containing or whatever their assignment is on each and every play. But that's just, that's what the art of a dual threat quarterback. It's just always a little bit harder because they can always scramble, make something out of nothing.
This is a team that likes a low-scoring, grinded-out game.
I'd be happier with a 10-9 game, and we haven't had that a lot, but we're striving for that.
It certainly wasn't like that the last time these two teams met. In 2016, UNLV won a wild shootout 69-66 in triple overtime. Don't expect the same thing this Saturday. There are a lot of question marks on both sides, especially for Wyoming, who's coming off a heartbreaking loss at Tulsa where a lot of players were injured. Who's available and who isn't, along with the psyche of this Cowboy team, could be a difference maker. All right, so here we go. Wyoming, if fans watched that game, got beat up considerably yesterday, had a lot of players go down. But the question is, who is going to be in and who's out? How hard is that to prepare when you really don't know what the personnel is that they're going to have with some of their starters?
Yeah, I mean, you're always going to default to preparing for the scheme, but the Jimmys and Joes make a big difference too. So we just got to pay attention throughout the course of the week. They had a couple offensive linemen that got banged up. Not sure if they'll be returning. Their tailback right there, you see. I'm not sure if they'll be in the game. So as the week goes on, we'll pay attention to it. But still, you got to prepare for the scheme, and I really think it's going to come down to quarterback play. You know, they got to find a way to throw the football with a little bit more consistency. They've struggled with that, but they run the ball well. Same thing for us. We've run the ball well. We got to find more consistency in the passing game. So I think the team that does that has the best opportunity to win.
Yeah, Wyoming does like to run the football. They have a quarterback like Armani Rogers that can get out of the pocket and do some damage there. Defensive line, the core position group coming into this game that's going to be key for UNLV? Yeah,
big time. I mean, we got to do a really good job of containing him. Again, I feel like we have a strong front seven, got to play well on the back end. We don't want them to find the rhythm throwing the ball. And one of the big things for us offensively, they lead the nation in sacks, I believe. I mean, they've done a really good job. They had 11 going into the game. I know they had like 3.5 before the first half was over, so they really harass quarterbacks. We got to do a good job of taking care of their D-line.
Yeah, defense has kind of been the bread and butter for Wyoming for a lot of years, and it's not even just on the front end and getting to the quarterback. They do have some talent on the back end as well. So I guess it poses some problem, but it goes back to establishing a good run game, I would assume.
It does. You know, Coach Bull's done a great job of creating an identity there. They're going to be a tough, hard-nosed team. You know, again, later in the season when you're playing there and you're out Wyoming, you have the elements and it's cold. It's hard to stop the run in those environments. And they'd won 7 games in a row going into this last game. So they ended the season last year with 4 wins and then started this year with 3. So they do a good job.
Altitude.
Yeah.
UNLV hasn't really played in an altitude situation this season. Any concern at all? What do you guys do on the field during the game to make sure if guys are sucking air to make sure that they stay
Well,
there?
it's so important to have a rotation. So, thank goodness we do. We got to make sure we monitor guys. We got to really do a good job with the hydration. That's a big deal. You know, anytime you're flying, and you're going to be in altitude. But there's no time to acclimate to it. So it is what it is. There's nothing you can really do about it. You just got to monitor your guys and make sure you're doing a good job rotating, especially on the defensive side.
Fall in Wyoming on a Saturday. The weather's supposed to be fabulous. I mean, it's going to be a very wild atmosphere. It's always a good atmosphere in Wyoming, but this should be a good one out there in terms of just football atmosphere.
Absolutely. I'm excited. You know, ESPNU, so national TV. I think they're doing a whiteout. You know, it's, two good football teams. So it's going to be a great game, and I'm just glad. The last time we went there, we got off the plane, and my phone said it feels like -2. So it'll be nice if it's not -2.
Yeah, the first time for UNLV football in history, instead of a police escort to the game, you had a snowplow escort to the game.
Exactly.
Fortunately, it is supposed to be 70 and sunny in Laramie. We're just getting started here in the Reb Zone. Up next, we're going to take you inside the Rebel weight room. We're going to talk with the man in charge of strength and conditioning for UNLV football and find out how it's impacting mind, body, and spirit.
You're watching the Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show, sponsored by R.C. Willey and Levitt Law Firm.
Success on the football field begins in the weight room. Players spend more time with the strength and conditioning coaches in the offseason than they do anybody else. And for UNLV, the man in charge is transforming more than players' bodies.
Extend and go. Reset. Push your butt back. Good job. Set it. Drop.
Take a step inside the UNLV football weight room and you see and hear it all. Winning on the football field begins here through blood, sweat, and tears.
Oscillate. 1, 2, 3, 4. There you go. All right, everyone see that right there? That's what we're doing.
The heartbeat of a program is its culture, and the culture has its foundation laid right here. Overseeing it all is UNLV's Director of Strength and Conditioning, Sean Manuel.
Woo! Yeah, buddy.
People don't understand what strength and conditioning. You're building the very fabric of the way people think on a daily basis. It's the bit-by-bit, day-to-day, grueling application. You're teaching them, hey, this is life and how life's going to be.
Do it again. We need proof that that number wasn't real. I don't believe it. I think it was.
Football's giving you the opportunity to kind of work on it. But you're going to move on from this, and you have to do something else. And so you require the same principles, the adherence to the same principles, the same commitment throughout the entire process.
Okay. Maybe you did.
Manuel is part coach, part motivator, and part role model to these guys. It's important to him to not only help them succeed at football, but to also give them the tools that will set up success in life.
These are my kids, man. I love them. I really mean that. I can tell you the ins and outs of almost 95% of these kids, who they are, their disposition, what they like, where they break at, where they're happy at, what motivates them to some degree, all those different things because of the amount of time that I'm around them. It's a huge responsibility and an incredible privilege.
The idea is to get them to maximize their worth.
It builds the culture of the program from the ground up on a day-to-day basis.
Each player has a sheet with specific instructions of what they're supposed to do each lift session. Technology is a big aspect in the weight room. The equipment is wired, relaying information about weight, speed, and force going right into a tablet to help coaches track progress while giving instant feedback.
Woo! You big monster!
You know, the biggest area of improvement's been culturally and the guys' ability to embrace the process. It's been an incredible deal to watch the guys grow in their trust and their belief in what's happening. And as a result, you watch them get better, and then it just reinforces itself.
Manuel has the pedigree to back it up. He played at New Mexico State with head coach Tony Sanchez and went on to play for the 49ers and Chiefs in the NFL. After stops in NFL Europe and the XFL, Manuel focused on strength, conditioning, and sports performance, saying the lessons he learned, especially with the 49ers, has helped him establish the baseline for success.
Being around that level of excellence has made me very aware that this is what it means to be exceptional. This is where you have to live in order to be exceptional. It's not doing something, it's learning to do whatever it takes. Yeah, I know you did something relative to what you used to do, but what is it going to take? Those are two totally different things.
It's just as much working on a mindset as it is any core muscle group. Building the right psyche is just as important. That means less hype, more substance.
I'm a big believer in intrinsic motivation. I'm not a big hype guy. I have a ton of energy. I push the guys with an incredible amount of energy. I'm not a big hype guy. I think it's awesome. The kids love it. I think it's a neat deal. But for me, substance is more important than the hype. And the guy's character and who they are and who they're becoming is more important, not an emotional experience. It's who you're becoming as a person.
Creating that culture might be the biggest lift these players get.
Woo! Listen, that's what I'm talking about.
We have talked over the years a lot about how much the culture has changed at UNLV football in the time that you've been here. It does start in the weight room. How have you seen that part of it evolve over the last few years?
Well, I mean, you're building the mind, the body, the spirit, the whole thing, and it's really getting revealed. You know, I mean, the biggest thing before you can build it is you got to reveal kind of true character. You know, and it comes out in these type of sessions and the running sessions. And so the strength coaches are around it a lot. Me and Sean have been together since we were 18. We played together at Laney College, played together at New Mexico State. He coached with me at Cal High, Gorman, now here. He's just a tremendous guy, great role model, and really understands the science and strength and conditioning. And he's done an incredible job. When you just look at the numbers and where we were compared to where we're at now, baseline, power output, things like that, it's night and day.
When you talk about his background as well, not only just playing, but he also has the academic background to back up everything that he's doing, not only from the physical part, but also the psychology part where his degree lies in. And that's an important part for a strength coach as well.
You know, it really is. And he talked about, you know, what motivates these young guys. You know, I mean, everybody's a little bit different. You know, some guys you got to, you know, whisper to. Some guys you got to get in their face. And, I mean, everybody's got a different, you know, way that they're motivated. And it's so important to understand that because, like Sean said, it's not just getting them ready for a Saturday football game. It's getting them ready for life, you know, for the ups and the downs and just the consistency of the effort that it takes to be successful.
Technology has changed a lot since we were younger, and in the weight room now, it really changes the way that the approach goes. But I assume it gives you a lot more information and a lot more weapons, I guess you could say, to work with.
It does. You know, I'm sure a lot of people are looking and they see the bands that are on the weights, and so I mean, if you're benching 225, that's one thing, but we're going to measure how fast you're benching 225, so it's power output, right? So it's not just the weight of it, but it's the speed in which you're lifting it, and that can tell us a lot. I mean, do we need to relax on their legs? Do we need to shorten practices? Do we need to speed back up? Because if the power numbers are where they need to be, then you're okay. But he came to me, you know, 2 weeks into camp and said, hey, the power numbers are really starting to go down, so we adjust the practice schedule. So you're always looking at that also.
We're going to take another short break right now. It's something definitely for you to watch as the Rebels elevate here with the conditioning and the weight programs. But up next, I go one-on-one with Mountain West Commissioner Craig Thompson. How is the Mountain West position when it comes to bowl games, and
What's the conference thinking on the future of the TV deal versus more games on social media? We ask him, and you'll find out in 2 minutes as the Red Zone rolls on.
You're watching the Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show, sponsored by R.C. Willey and Levitt Law Firm.
Welcome back inside the Reb Zone. We're joined now by Mountain West Commissioner Craig Thompson as we get through this football season. Obviously, a couple of main areas always come up. Number one, the TV contract. It is coming up soon. Where is the conference line in terms of where you want to head?
Well, we have some contractual obligations to both CBS First and ESPN as our current rights holder, and we've been talking for several months now. It's probably going to take a few more months, but determining and giving them direction from our league about linear coverage versus digital coverage, and the elephant in the room is always 8:30, 9 o'clock Mountain Time kickoffs and tip-offs. And getting that exposure and the revenue it generates. So, those are things on our side that we have to make some determinations. But, the conversations have been going well with both CBS and ESPN. We'll see where they finalize.
Is there a concern that if you go digital only, that you're going to lose a large portion of your fan base that isn't willing or doesn't know how to find a game on that platform rather than turning on the TV?
There is, and somewhat of it is generational. But in talking to a coach today, he said, I watched the Open on my cell phone. I watched U.S. Open in tennis, and it's there. It kind of is the eye of the beholder whether you want to take the steps to learn and understand how it works. But digital has moved so much past the old days of buffering and the circles rotating. But now it's so readily available. But those are calls, and probably each of the 12 institutions are a little different in their stance.
The bowl game has been another issue with the Las Vegas Bowl moving out after this upcoming season. That left the Mountain West with only 5. You've corrected that and now have tie-ins to 6 bowls. Should a team like UNLV get to 6 wins, is there a concern if more than 6 teams do become bowl eligible that they're going to get squeezed?
Could be. That's always a concern. But, we probably in our 20-year history have placed more extra teams than we've not had teams play in bowl games. And, there's now 42 bowl games. That's 84 teams have to be 6-6 or better. That's a high number. So I'm pretty confident a 6-6 Mountain West team will be in a bowl game.
Do you foresee Las Vegas becoming the home of the Mountain West Championship game as a neutral site? Shouldn't UNLV not be in that championship game?
Well, it's something we need to discuss, absolutely, and we've kind of socialized it a little bit with some early meetings, not in any detail or depth, but it's something to look at, instead of the home field advantage we currently reside in.
To change gears to basketball real quick, the Mountain West has signed on to stay at the Thomas and Mack for the Mountain West basketball tournament. There's been a lot of discussion about whether it should go to the MGM Grand Garden Arena or somewhere else. What was the ultimate deciding factor in staying at the Thomas and Mack?
Size, and certainly what it has done for us. It's served us well. We've had 17 championships out of 20 Mountain West championships in Thomas and Mack, and it's an old favorite. It's very comfortable for us. Now, that perspective might change if UNLV wins 4 straight regular seasons and is hosting in their home. But, at this point, it's been a great facility, and they've been wonderful partners.
Commissioner, thank you very much. We're back to wrap up the Reb Zone with Coach Sanchez right after this.
You're watching the Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show, sponsored by R.C. Willey and Levitt Law Firm.
UNLV football players surprised some of their former teachers in the Valley on Friday. The players ambushed them with gifts in hand to show some appreciation. The teachers given gift baskets as well as UNLV football season tickets, and the schools received $1,500 from the Extra Yard for Teachers initiative. One of the players, offensive lineman Justin Polu, visited his former social studies teacher at Silverado High School. He says that she made his time special at high school because she actually cared about him and his success.
School is not always, just work. There is actually people who care about you, people who love you, people who look out for you, and she was definitely one of those people for me.
Something UNLV football players do every year. It's really kind of a neat thing for them to come back, especially for the local kids.
It really is. It's great seeing guys like Justin, who's been such a great guy for us, great ambassador of the university, going back in, and giving back to the teachers. So those are neat deals when they get a chance to go do that.
All right, we talk about winning a division, winning a conference.
Yep.
It's on the list every year. It starts this Saturday with the Mountain West opener at Wyoming.
It does. Every goal we have is still right there in front of us. It's going to be a tough test this week, but we're excited about it. Go to a hostile environment on the road again. We go out and we play like we're capable of. We can go get these guys.
All right, Coach, good luck. That's a 5 p.m. Pacific time kickoff on ESPNU if you'd like to watch that one. And, of course, we're going to break it all down next Sunday in the RebZone. That's a wrap for this one. We thank you so very much for watching, and we leave you with the best UNLV football plays so far this season. Good night.
The RebZone Sports Show, sponsored by R.C. Willey and Levitt Law Firm.